I've found out the reason why we're a little bit late, guys. We should have been here about 4 minutes ago. But if you're going to send files for any of the co-hosts to show, they've got to be PNG files, JPEG files, and they can't be web files because we've been trying to sort all that out. TikTok time to rock. It's my pleasure as usual to welcome the Sunday crew on, Brad, and all the way from the UK, early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning from the UK.
or 7:04 that it actually.
Okay. Well, it's whatever it is. It's effing early in the morning where you are. Oh my gosh!
It's quite early. Sadly, it's not that early.
No, we know Simon's secret. We know his secret, guys.
Which is
which is Simon only sleeps 1 hour a day. He's a vampire.
I wish I bloody did. I wish I slept a bit longer than I do. I said to Brad, I've got an inbuilt body clock that kind of, if I know I've got to get up at 7 or 20 to 7 or something, I wake up at 20 to 6. I wake up an hour before. It's like really.
Is that me or Simon?
What?
Did the crackle? Was that me or Simon? I get a bit worried if I hear or if I miss something. I missed you, Simon. Was that me or you?
I don't think it was me. Was it me?
Okay.
Did I suddenly drop out?
No, I think it might have been you, Andrew.
Okay, so that's a bad sign if I drop out, guys, because it does this every now and again. It's a Sunday evening here. Just carry on talking, and I'll come back. If the internet connection is going to be playing up.
Yeah, no problem. We've got no problem just filling the void anyway, mate. We're really good at that these days.
That's because I don't say anything. That's correct.
I've come prepared. I've got a brilliant joke if it happens.
Yes. Who's in the chat?
Let's say good morning to the team in the chat. We have the Dogpa. Good morning.
Wow.
Mark
Wolf,
Tanner.
Wolf.
Good morning, Mark. Yes, absolutely. Nelson Rodriguez, of course. Good morning, Nelson. We have the great Vanzini. Hey, great Vanzini. How you doing? Hope you're good. And I think, yes, they're all talking. That's who we've got so far. So thanks for joining, guys. Good to see you. Brian Spalding as well. Good morning, Brian.
Yep.
All the way from Hawaii. Very nice. Yeah. Getting up or staying up late.
That's it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
With a cup of tea. Very good.
I've got my cup of coffee. I'm set. I'm good to go.
Good on you, bros.
Good album.
Good on you.
That's not a proper cup. Look, that's a cup. That's the same size as my head. It's one of a barrel, actually.
Hold it closer to the camera and it looks bigger, see?
Yeah. That's what they all say.
I'll show you guys a barrel if you want. It means I'll have to stand up. That's a fucking barrel.
Staring down the barrel of a barrel.
Oh. I've used my only F word for the year.
That's it. You're going to time yourself out now.
Did he say the F bomb? Did he F bomb? Did you?
Andrew, I've got to send you this little icon. Look, ready?
Okay. Oh, here we go. Look at that.
Nice. A new icon.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
If I showed you anything, would be X-rated, gentlemen, and that'll be worse than swearing. So we won't go there.
Let's keep it above the belt and clean.
Okay.
Above the waist.
Above
the waist.
above the 6 inches above the belly button, guys. It's a safe place.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, gee.
Look how you've started us off. It's straight to the gutter. Do not pass go. Yes.
Sonia.
Honestly.
Sonia. Oh my
Sonia.
gosh, we better be.
Sonia's
Stop letting me
You'll
down
be
the dirty.
banned. Yeah.
Sonia and Teresa here, guys. So come on.
Mm.
Right.
Pull your socks
Good morning,
up.
Teresa. Yes.
Come on, let's be gentlemen. Let's keep it above the belt.
Yeah. Language. Otherwise, Sonia will ban us. That'll learn us, won't it?
Oh,
Marvelous.
That's a bit of fun. That's a bit of fun. Look, guys, we're streaming on, as usual. We're streaming on YouTube. We're also here. You can find us there on the All About the Blues, home of the British Electric Blues Show. We're also streaming here on the All Things Eric Clapton Show. So join us there. And if you guys haven't already done this, there's Simon. There's Simon. Where's Simon? Get rid of that banner and I'll show you Simon. There's Simon. Simon Williams, 33, Instagram.
33 years old.
Yeah. All the other 32 were taken.
I thought it was because he was born in 1933. So, I'm in trouble now.
Yeah. Look
I'll fire that icon, Andrew. That timeout icon.
Good for 88, don't I?
Oh my God. Oh, jeepers. I better. Okay. And there's Brad. So follow us there. Follow us there, and you'll keep in touch with what they're doing and what we're doing here. And we'd appreciate the follows.
Yes, definitely. And yes, Andrew, it was nice to see your contribution to the 24 Nights Instagram for Michael yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to throw some. I'm going to throw some clips up. I'm going to throw a few little riffs up there. Why not?
Yeah, do it. That's great. I enjoyed it. It was really good to see.
Yeah.
Nice tone.
Yeah, good show.
That nice Clapton tone, and that scratch plate looks so much better, mate. You know.
Well, what's really interesting is I'm just playing through my THR practice amp, and I've just hooked a wire up on it, so it's it's not even going through a proper amp. It's just going through a practice amp. So I suppose that's one of the great things about some of the technology that's available today. You can get a good, tight, condensed, good sound these days. You don't need to do what this guy here does. Yeah.
In a small club.
In his bedroom. Brad's got no neighbours.
Quaking. Yes, absolutely.
No, my neighbours hate me. They don't talk to me. Better that way.
Hey, Texas.
Yeah, that was from last night.
Hey, Texas. Chapter, how you doing? So, Brad, do you live in an apartment or a house?
I live in a house, but that was from last night's gig. So that was actually at a venue. So I'm just trying to keep some, flow up there on my Instagram page. I've been so busy, so it's like struggling for content at the moment because I haven't had time. But I'm at a gig, so I thought I might as well take some photos of my gear. It's what do they call it? Guitar porn, gear porn.
Yep,
guitar. Gear
that's
porn.
it, brother.
Yeah. So, how big is the venue you're playing in, Brad? I mean, it must be quite big if you're taking the last one, being able to.
It's quite a big capacity room, but they were limited because of the restrictions at the moment because of this pandemic. But so it was sold out. Basically, the tickets were sold out, and I am guessing there was more people in there than what they were capacity to. That's because the room looked full to me by the end of the night. So, but it's a long room, and I could actually give my Marshall a good dose of volume, which was fantastic. So it's amazing how much better it sounds once you give it a little bit of volume. You know what I mean? You give it a crank and you just get that natural Marshall sag going. Don't have to drive the gain too hard. It's just volume. It sounds fantastic. So I missed it. I could feel the back of my my pants sort of flapping in the breeze from my speaker.
Oh,
that's a sensational feeling.
So everything's mic'd up. The whole band is mic'd up. Going for the PA. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a full, full setup. So massive PA system, the whole bit. So really, I'm quite grateful at the moment I can get back out there and play. This is my third gig for the year so far, and looks like I've got a few more coming up, which is great. So we're going in the right direction, thankfully, which is great.
I'm sure as things ease, there'll be a backlog, won't there, of people wanting to do something. But it's funny. I used to have a high watt 100 watt. I couldn't play anywhere with it because it was so bloody loud. It was fantastic, but it was, couldn't play in a pub in it. You'd be like there going, right, let's off. Right, oh dear me, you get to half. It's like, one. When it came up, it was brilliant but fierce.
I've spent a fair bit of time and money as well on my gear to get it so that it's I can run it at a decent volume and it sounds fantastic. So there's little things you can do, tricks and tips. And anyone that's in Melbourne, I'm going to give a shout out to the guy who modded my amp. Basically, his name's Boris from Tone Revival Engineering. If you're in Melbourne and you want some amp work done, you can go and see him. He'll look after you. He's amazing. I can run my Marshall at bedroom volume and it sounds fantastic.
Cool.
That's and it's a 100 watt head, so I don't like it's not an issue for me at the moment, which is great. So I can get a great volume at a low volume, but the louder it turns up, it's like a V8 motor engine. The more you accelerate, the more it goes. That's just how they work. Unfortunately for volume, but I did not have one complaint about my sound last night in volume or anything. Everyone loved it. So there you go.
Fantastic.
It's the first real loud gig I've done for a long time.
We haven't arrived at that yet. I don't think there's much. Still not enough. We haven't got enough freedom for things really to start yet.
Yeah. And so we're just talking offline about a couple of things that you mentioned there. Just Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob tomorrow. Bob Dylan is going to be 80. 80 years old. The greatest rock musician ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the greatest guitarist, but overall, I think if one person is ever going to be remembered from this era, or the 60s and 70s, it will be him. Nobel winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature and stuff. He's the only rock musician ever to do it. I think that it's amazing that he still has a flourishing career. And he's still making records that are as good as this record. It's Bob Dylan, so you could take that as but this is a great record. This is still a really, really good record. You think, God, 78, 79 years old, still knocking it out in his own weird, odd way is an amazing achievement, really. I think it's he's been doing it for so long. 1961 was his first album. So, amazing career. So hats off and happy birthday to Mr. Dylan tomorrow.
Yeah. How about yourself, Andrew? What have you been up to?
Not much. Just doing some things around the house, preparing for work next week. Just the usual stuff. Kicking back, enjoying the last day of the weekend, guys. It's good. Yeah. It's always good to catch up and recharge the batteries. And Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Great show last night with
It was.
Michael. So check
Took
that
me
out.
all day to finish it.
Yeah.
I finished it about 10 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Really,
Great
really
show.
good show. Good show. Great chat.
And looking forward to this show too. And well,
Yeah.
you know, one of the great things, I suppose, guys, about the job that we have here is that 99.9% of the time, the albums that we do are pretty bloody good. In fact, I don't think we've done a dud. You know, and a dud would be probably reflected in our scores. So. So we've got an easy job. The hardest thing is picking the albums.
Well, this one I've wanted to do for a while, so I'm really glad we all agreed on this one. It's a bit of a selfish thing for me because I love Gary Moore and I love Peter Green, and it's basically put together. It's I know we did the Mick Fleetwood and Friends the other day, and that's what sparked my sort of. I thought, well, let's do this one. You know, if we're on a Peter Green theme, we might as well.
Yeah. Before you get into your intro on that, so when did that album come out?
1995.
Guys? Okay, 95. So yeah, 95. So that was around the time when Jeepers Clapton's From the Cradle came out.
Around there,
and also the Jimi Hendrix Blues album came out around that same time too. So I had those albums through Cake Tony's in the house. I had those albums on constant rotation.
Yeah, same. Definitely. And look, that's the thing. I mean, that era, there was some great blues albums coming out. Even Buddy Guy, there was such great stuff coming out at that time frame. So, hey, Fruitcake Tony, how you going? I mean, look, this is a selfish one for me, and I don't know what you guys thought of this, but I listened to this all week, and I was just totally blown away all the time. I'm just hearing little things all the way through, and it was just phenomenal. Such an amazing album. What were your thoughts on it, Andrew?
Well, it's a masterpiece. In my opinion, it's a masterpiece. It's a blues guitar masterclass in phrasing and time, and it's faithful to the original versions, which I think is really important. But still, as we go through, guys, and I'm sure Simon will agree, Gary Moore stamps his Gary Moore-ness all over those numbers, you know. So, yeah. So it's a masterclass.
And Simon, what were your thoughts on
it? Well, I've not really heard it before, so I'm coming at this quite new. Quite a lot of interesting things occurred to me. I think that clearly he wants to get back to what he loves, and this is what he really loves doing. Not the stuff, the really heavy rock stuff. And I think that comes through very clearly. It's a labor of love, this album, for him. Want to do it clearly. And yes, I spent quite a lot of time yesterday going back and forth between the originals and his versions of them, and I was amazed about how close they were in many cases. I mean, clearly some of the songs really in Fleetwood Mac world are only 3 minutes long, and in Gary Moore world they're 7 minutes long. But I was amazed even down to, and it took a while for this thing, but it did sink in eventually. Sometimes it does with me. That I was thinking to myself, for instance, the drums are like the same. And I was like, and I thought to myself, that must be quite hard for a drummer to copy somebody else, in that way. So I was it was interesting, really interesting. Yeah. So it's good to dig into it, and as I say, for me, because I've not really heard it before, it was really interesting to do, and to kind of do that comparison and go back and forth and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to do my homework properly.
Yeah. Well, looks like we've lost Andrew, so we might just.
Is it time for the joke?
Well, yeah, give us the joke. Give us the joke. Let's go for it.
All right.
While the boss isn't here. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's come back.
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
I exited myself out there because I'm trying to put these, try and format these graphics, so we won't do that. I won't bother. I won't bother.
Don't stress too much, Andrew. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's a couple of there that you've already sort of uploaded, which are probably the important ones, you know.
Yeah.
Look, I'll do the little intro on this, but I did a fair bit of research on this, and there's not a lot.
There's not, is there? No.
But I did find a really interesting article, which was an interview with Gary Moore, and I don't want to read the whole thing. I just want to pick out some of these finer points that, you know, his responses to some of the answers, which rather than go, you know, through the elaborate recording, but he's basically giving the answers that we all want to know. So I think it's from Gary's mouth. I think we've got to, you know, highlight these. And that's what we do on this show, isn't it? You know, we want to give it from the artist's perspective. Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So obviously he was asked about the album, and he's like, "Yep, it's an album of Peter Green music, although it concentrates more on the blues aspect as opposed to his more pop things." He said, "I've ignored the obvious things like Albatross and Man of the World. In fact, the only single of his I've done is Need Your Love So Bad, which I've been playing for a long time, and it means so much to me. It's a great song, and I love Peter Green's version. I've taken the guitar solo on a bit further at the end." So that's if you're looking at the pictures there, guys, that's the guitar that's Peter Green, his famous guitar, Greeny, and with nicknamed Greeny because it was obviously owned by Peter Green. And I can give you a bit of a background on that if you guys want on the actual guitar. So basically, that guitar was obviously Peter Green's, and there was a time there through the 70s. Peter Green's mental health struggled. We won't go into that too much because that's probably another show we can do that. Basically, he decided to. Well, he lost interest in music altogether, and he wanted the guitar to go to a good home. So he loaned it to Gary Moore for 3 days to try it. And this is basically in Gary Moore's words that, you know, Peter Green wanted Gary Moore to own the guitar. And he said, "Sell your guitar, and whatever money you get for that, you give me that money, and then the guitar is yours," because he just wanted that guitar to continue on and have a legacy, obviously, because he loved that guitar, but he just lost interest in music. So from my understanding, whatever the measly amount was, which, I mean, it's been quoted as $300 or like, I don't know what's right or wrong there, so I'm not going to quote that 100%. So basically he sold his guitar for a measly amount, gave Peter Green that money, and then the guitar became his, obviously. So pretty amazing, hey?
What amazed me, Andrew, can you go back to that previous picture? Is that I think it's really interesting that you know, you can't see much of Peter's face, but you could see just kind of looking at the guitar. You see Gary Moore, and you could see the sort of holy grail in his eyes.
He was
it was really cool.
Like you know, there's a bit of a story which is part of this interview, which I'll read in a minute, about, you know, how his involvement with Peter Green and stuff like that, and how they became friends and things like that. Yes, that guitar is iconic. And if you have a look at the front pickup, it's actually backwards.
Yeah,
and there's a few stories about that in relation to, which I think we touched on in the last Mick Fleetwood and Friends episode. But yeah, so he was reversed, and but yeah, I'll go back to these little bits and pieces that I thought were really important that I think I should highlight before we get into the track listing. You know, he'd been wanting to do a blues record for a long time, and he said that basically when he started the sessions for Still Got the Blues album, for example, it started off as more of a blues record, and then over time it became more, and it turned into it got blown out of proportion. He said it basically got bigger and, you know, ended up playing very loud with distorted guitars and lost the essence of what he was going for. And basically, it wasn't the point that he was trying to do. We still got the blues, even though it was really successful. So he wanted to go back to the basics, and the point of it was, well, his love for the blues was Peter Green, basically. So, yeah, that was, he just said, well, I'm going to do an album, you know, a tribute as a thank you to Peter Green, not as a tribute as such, because Peter Green obviously was still alive and he didn't want it to be like a tribute as such. It's just a thank you to Peter Green, to highlight obviously his music and how important it was to him. So, you know, from that, basically he's saying he got the essence of what Peter was about, which is very stripped down, minimal way of playing, and that was something he hadn't done before on record for a long, or ever, basically. Gary Moore, he was always, you know, fairly ferocious and overplaying a lot and stuff like that, and he wanted to strip it right back. So, yeah, like I said, he wanted it to be a thank you to Peter Green, not so much a tribute as such. And basically, this is how he got to know Peter Green. So this is in his exact words. He goes, in the early days, I got to know him quite well when I was in Skid Row. We had the Fleetwood Mac, and Peter helped me a lot. He helped us get managed, sorted out a lot of what was happening to me. And that's how we met him. And this is basically, this album is a way of saying thank you. This is the first blues record I've ever recorded, to be honest, because Still Got the Blues. It's very blues influenced. This is much more a pure blues record for me. There's a lot less of more aggressive, but sort of playing on the record is more straightforward, clean sound much of the time. Get into, where is this? I'm sorry, I've just lost my little notes here. Basically, they asked him, you know, did you want to try and emulate Peter Green's sound and everything? He's like, well, I used this guitar. When you pick up that guitar, it's kind of hard to play any other way. So, of course, I wanted to play along those lines, but I also wanted to come through myself, which is something I've done. I've just obtaining a balance between those two things. Obviously, I don't play the same way as Peter, but I could do a passable imitation of Peter Green. If you gave me a guitar, I could sit here and probably get closer than anyone else. So, obviously, a pretty bold statement. There's the wonderful Greeny. Yeah, so he was quite passionate about that, and this interview is quite good. And I think maybe later, Andrew, I'll pass you this link, and everyone can put it, you know, to good use and have a good read of it, because it's quite an extensive interview. But we're going on about his gear here, for example. So basically, what they did is to recreate that sound. This is what his answer was: we all played live, but I played in the control room a lot of the time because I don't like wearing headphones. But we all still played together and we could see each other. So it was just like me being in a booth, all screened off, except I had the luxury of being able to hear everything coming through the speakers. So probably a better way to record, really. He goes, this is the livest studio record I've ever made. Actually, even some of the vocals were live. Equipment-wise, I used a little Fender Vibroverb reissue, a matchless amplifier, and a 60s Fender Bassman. A lot of the time we were going through a 4x12 Marshall cabinet. The key elements in this, in recreating Peter's sound, was basically the guitar and the touch, really. So he's basically just said that guitar was where it's at.
In the hands, like we say a lot.
Yeah. Well, that guitar's got a very unique tone. He goes, look, there's something else about that particular guitar. It has a characteristic sound, and there's no point in overdriving it too much, obviously. Peter always had a clean sound, and I think it's down to playing that after all. It's down to the touch sensitivity of the player and the phrasing, that he had space that you leave. It's all those things. So I don't want to read this whole interview out because I want to get into the songs, but he was all about trying to recreate something in an honest way. So yeah, that's a great photo. Obviously, Gary's still even at that point still very what would you say, starstruck by someone like that. So that's my little intro, guys. I didn't want to read off the whole interview, but I definitely encourage everyone to go and have a good read of this. But I think it gave us a good insight to the recording process of the record. And if you've actually had a good listen to this record, like especially when we go through some of the notes on the songs and stuff like that, yeah, it's a real treat. And I can just imagine like doing that recording process, how passionately, Gary was about pulling it off the way he did. And I have to say, out of all the things I've seen in relation towards Peter Green, I don't think anyone's done it any better than Gary Moore.
Just Texas Jackdaw says, wasn't there something unique about the electronics on Greeny? So he's read.
Well, there's a few debatable things about that guitar, but there was something about the front pickup was reversed. Andrew might even be able to clarify this a little bit more, but it's basically the magnets are reversed. But there was something more to it, because Gary's noted as saying that he's played guitars with just the pickup reversed, and they still didn't have that tonality that Greeny had. So there was something unique about that guitar. In that era when that guitar was manufactured, there were some factory faults in some of those guitars in the wiring, and I think that might have been one of them, which gave it a very unique tone, which gives it that nasal out of phase position, gives it a very nasal tone. And I think, Andrew, you've on one of your Les Pauls, you've actually reversed the pickup, haven't you, and the magnet?
Yeah.
Or just
I'm not an expert on it, but I've got a couple of magazines that I've read over the years, guys, which talks about what gives that guitar its unique characteristics, that nasal, throaty tone that we're all familiar with. So there's a couple of theories going on about how it was the wiring, how on the pickup. And that could have that's a very good argument, but 90% of the guys that have offered an opinion say that it's because of the magnet flip. So I've got a couple of guitars here. I had Kurt come over this afternoon because you guys asked me what I got up to. So I had Kurt come over, and he loaned me
Kurt 5150.
Kurt Hammett.
No, Kurt Hammett. So he came over and loaned me the guitar to show. No, this isn't it, guys. No, if anyone thought that was for real, this is
stolen it from Kurt Hammett.
This is the vintage brand guitar, which has been on the market for a while. It's an inexpensive guitar. It's about $800, and it's faithful to Greeny. And the the pickups are flipped, but this is out of phase because of the wiring. So it's wired out of phase when you've got it in the middle position. But my Les Paul that Brad mentioned, I had my guitar guy flip the magnet to get the out of phase tone.
Right.
And it's pretty good when you're jamming along. I'll do some sound snips. That's one of the things that I'll do on the Instagram account too, because it's definite. There is a definite tone. If you guys haven't had a situation where you've played with it either with the magnet flip or wired, can I tell the difference with my ears? No. No. I can't. So I'd be interested if anyone in the chat has an opinion on that too, guys.
I'm just looking at an article that seemed to have quite a lot of information in it, and it was and Peter Green said that just swapping the pickup round is not the thing, because he did swap the pickup round, but which he got an idea from got the idea of taking out the bridge pickup from Eric Clapton. I don't know. Anyway, so he put it round the wrong way. So So the pickup screws are facing the opposite direction. And but he said you have to achieve the out of phase sound, the polarity on one of the pickups has to be reversed, which is like the extra step. It's not the turning it round. It's the reversing the polarity of the magnets.
That's correct. That's what I did on my Les Paul.
I don't know how you do. So you did that, did you? You didn't just turn it around.
No. So you take, okay. So you take your pickup out, and there's a magnet, and you actually pull the magnet out, and you flip it, and you push the magnet in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what Peter did though is he turned the pickup around and reversed the magnets, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As well. So it's not just a matter of taking the pickup out and turning it around. No. You know, he did that, but also took the magnet out and reversed it, so the polarity gives you when you're in that middle tone. And one of the great things about being out of phase is you can just put it into the middle position, and you adjust the volume on the front, on the neck or the bridge pickup to get you know the pickup without it being in phase, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, that's the thing. And I mean, Andrew, I've just forwarded you that link from that interview that I
cool.
That information. So if you want to put that in the link later on, so people can look at it later, not while we're doing the show. And it's very interesting. He talks about how he got to know Peter Green and things like that. But I'm pretty keen to dive into the songs. That's why we're here. So you can do your own homework, guys. But I just wanted to touch on those things that are relevant to this record that I've done. So
just a dog part, you're right. The effect only cuts in when you have both pickups on. So when the pickup switches in the middle.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Either pickup will just sound like either pickup. And as you know, I've got that that Chapman MR2 Classic. That's got the Peter Green mod on it. It's got push pull. You can pull it out and put them out of phase. Yeah. And so it does. But there's a lot of mythology around this, isn't there? I'll just have a look here, and according to some guy called Joel Danzig who'd had a chance to examine the guitar in the 80s, it could have putting the magnets in around it could have been a mistake at the factory.
That's what.
Could be. If you're building them all manually, it could quite likely to be, because he looked at the pickup and it didn't seem to have been fiddled with in any way, shape, or form. So he thought it might have been that they come from the factory like that.
Yeah,
and that's interesting because Derek's saying that he's tried the magnet flip and no difference. It's interesting.
Nothing happened.
Okay. I mean, I've got a guitar in storage that has got the in and out of phase wiring done and push pull pots and all that. And as soon as I do the Peter Green switch on it sounds perfectly like that nasal tone just kicks straight in. So I have heard that there are things. I have heard that there are things you can do to guitars with push pulls and stuff like that, like mods that you can do, so you don't have to reverse pickups and stuff like that to get that tone. But I'm not very tech savvy with all that stuff. So,
well, clearly, if it's on my Chapman, then it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah. And but yeah, I have also heard people say the same thing. But to get that nasal tone, Andrew, don't you have to have both volumes up full?
So the key is even if you have both volumes on 5, you're still going to get that out of phase tone.
Right. So you got to match them.
Yeah. So the volumes have to be matched to get that out of phase tone. And the minute you turn one up, like your bridge, if you turn your bridge,
overrides it.
Yeah.
But that's a secret there. Maybe Derek, if you try that, might make it. Anyway, but so guys, should we go into the rankings of the tracks now and dive into the album? That's why we're here. I mean, I'm itching to get into it. So,
off we go.
All right. So, Blues for Greeny. If You Be My Baby. What an opening track. Amazing. I absolutely love this one. Wonderful playing all round. Gary's on fire. The band is smoking. I love his guitar tone. He's using Greeny, obviously, on this whole record, the Les Paul Greeny. And he plays frightfully truthful to Peter Green's stylings and phrasing in this. The licks he plays, they're very held back. There's way more space than we've ever heard Gary play before. His vocals are sensational. Amazing solos. The second one's my favorite. Can clearly hear the nasal out of tone phase from the Greeny Les Paul and what it's famous for. The drums and bass on this track sound phenomenal. They're so rock solid. It's killer. It's a wonderful opening track for the album, and I encourage everyone to really crank it. Like, have a good listen to this and try and listen to what Gary's playing on guitar as well, and put yourself in a position if you're a guitarist singer. He's doing a lot of this live, so I can imagine he's probably singing and playing this. And we all know Gary is phenomenal, or was phenomenal, at singing and playing at the same time and being at one with the music. So for me, it's a 20 out of 10, guys. It's a Brad score.
Brad score.
And straight off the bat, like, we're already, bam, I've hit it out of the ballpark. It's just an amazing opening track. And 20 out of 10, and obviously never a skip.
Skip track one, yes. Interesting concept. The things that struck me about it is that, well, the first thing I said earlier, I went back and forth a bit and listened to the original. It's the same tempo as the original one, which is which I found that kind of level of detail. It's like, oh right, it's actually the same tempo, and as I said earlier, the drumming is the same. It's very straight, isn't it? Very straight drumming. Yeah. I think the horns thing is really interesting as well, using that horn section as the call and response bit. And also the way that they mix the horns quite low. It's quite far back in the mix, isn't it? It's not kind of, they don't go, ba-da-da. They're kind of, further back in the mix. Well, it reminds you of the way that the Rolling Stones used horns. That kind of, they mix them back in the mix, especially the live stuff I've heard, live from Brussels. There are horns on it, but they're not like way up there. He's not doing a kind of soul review thing. Interestingly, they are there to add a bit of color and a bit of texture, but not. So that was really good. I really like that, and I don't know whether it's a sort of twitch of his or something, but he does that vibrato on his vocal. Oh, yeah. Just occasionally he'll do a thing. Is that as like a vocal twitch? Because he doesn't do it all the time, does it? It just happens once or twice, one or two. It just seems to happen on a phrase or something once in a song.
I think he's got a natural vibrato that not a lot of people have got. But I dare say this vocal would have been done live, probably. Like when
probably,
it's all live. So any imperfections are just going to be left there.
Yeah, it's and the way the horns come in on line 3 of the verses he's singing is good. Kind of gives it a the color, as I said, coloration is good for that. I think it's it's and as you say, that the one, and we've used this, this one, every album has a word, doesn't it? Well, I always think of Gary. We've used it before. That there is absolutely passion seeping out of every pore of his fingers, through the strings of the guitar. You can't knock his commitment or his passion into what he's playing, because it's absolutely there in the grooves of it. It's Mark, it is an authentic, and authentic to Fleetwood Mac, and I think you're right. I mean, it's a 9 out of 10 and never a skip from me. Absolutely, I think it's a great opener. Does that job really well. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So 9 out of 10, Simon. That's a good score for an opener. I obviously I know all these songs from the Fleetwood Mac catalogue, back to front, and when I first heard this album when it first came out, it sent electric shocks through me and a couple of cats I was hanging out with at the time. when we were sharing musical tastes and experiences, and we would sit and analyze it. And there's a couple of things that I'd like to talk about. When Peter played this live, he used the out of phase tone a lot, especially. And what I noticed with Gary, I can't hear it. He's not using the out of phase tone. He seems to be using, I think, the neck pickup a lot on this. There are songs later on where he's clearly playing it out of phase, but very clever by Gary, an identifiable song that any Fleetwood Mac would know the tone. So he's sticking true, but he's not playing that out of phase tone, for the opening track. So he's making it very, very his. Does that make sense?
Yes,
he's stamping his mark on it. I agree with Brad. It's a masterpiece. I have to declare, I'm biased here, guys. I'm sorry. But I'm going to probably repeat myself, a lot when we're talking about these songs.
Has Gary paid you? Has he sent you money?
Well, getting hold of his biography is really, really expensive. So, we just be good to get hold of. Apparently, someone is working on a biography. But look, I agree with you. I'm going to give this a 20 out of 10 too as an opening track, because it is different, but it is so familiar. And I'm going to echo a lot of the comments that the cats in the chat have said about Gary's vocals. We'll probably talk about that. His vocals get hot. He his contrast with his vocals, that heavy rock thing that Gary's got, just adds that little bit of bourbon to the mix, doesn't it? That Peter doesn't give in his versions. Love it,
but he doesn't. But he doesn't overplay it, does he? I never felt like he. I never felt he went off-piste, on that, and kind of, I never felt it turned into some sort of like crazy rock album kind of thing,
No, it wouldn't have worked, Simon.
No, indeed not. No, but cleverly he didn't do it. So,
I think that was, something that was he was mindful of from the word go, that if he was going to do that, like I said in the start, it had to be like in that way. He wanted to go back to that more pure thing anyway. He never, in his interviews around this 95 period, he was always not necessarily knocking Still Got the Blues record, but saying that it turned into something that it initially didn't. It intended to be a more of a traditional like 3-piece blues album, similar to what this vibe is, less playing, but it became louder guitars, blistering solos, more aggressive playing, and it turned into something he didn't want it quite to be. Now, I love that, but that's not what Gary was going for. So this, in a sense, was probably more exactly what he was going for. But so 20 out of 10 and a 9.
You've got a specific target, haven't you? If you're going to do an album of Fleetwood Mac things, you have a specific target. Whereas Still Got the Blues is, him doing lots of different things, different people's songs. And so I think if you've got a specific target, it's probably easier to do that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. So we're at Long Grey Mare.
Yep.
Great intro. Very snappy feel. Stripped back tone. The drums are a bit drier on this song than sounding on the previous track, but they suit the song. I love Gary's playing on this. It's like a little burst for a second song. It comes in. It's got that feel that I find is very close to the Fleetwood Mac version, and he's very. In a sense, he's really following the Peter Green footsteps and that path with the playing. I love his vocals on this. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and I never skip it. It's there's not much. Well, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. There's no skips on this record for me.
Oh dear! Spoiler alert: the butler did it. Yes. Nice one. I'd echo that. I think that the interesting thing for me is that the guitar does what the harmonica does on the original. The original Fleetwood Mac has a harmonica, and the guitar does what the harmonica does, which is cool. That's a good way of doing it. If you don't play the harmonica, especially, I don't think Gary plays the harmonica, but I think that's a really cool way of doing it. I think that having the rhythm guitar and then having those stabbing lead imitating the harmonica over the top is really cool. That works really well. How do you say? Good solo, kind of, and could I say, I think that, that it's, I like the fact that it's only 2 minutes long. I think that's confidence, you don't have to play 7 minutes. You can do 2, and it's done, and so I think it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip, absolutely does what it's supposed to do in this context. Yeah.
Yeah, I look, I agree with you guys. I think it's a snappy intro. Love the fact that it's a short snip. But what really grips me about this song is the muscle vibrato that Gary has on this, as opposed to the Ferrari version that Peter has. So again, identifiable, but Gary's putting his mark on it, and I don't think Gary gets a lot of credit for being a vibrato king. We're guitar players and we love a vibrato, and we talk about it, and whether or not you're using your index finger or the BB King pointer finger method, or whether or not you're shaking and letting go of the neck and just letting your finger float there. We've tried all these techniques, haven't we, to try and find our own voice. And, that shock, that electric shock vibrato that Gary's got is, it's a bolt. It's a thunderbolt. And because of that, I'm still going to give it a 10 out of 10. Never a skip.
Yeah, so we're on par. It's a great little burst. I think, it's not a long song. And I think, I agree with you guys 100%, everything you guys have said there. So, I mean, I'm a Gary Moore nut, so I'm probably not the right person to be running this show, because I'm going to be biased the whole way along. So,
well, that's fine. Go with the things you like. There's nothing wrong with that. You're wearing the badge. I just think there's no problem with that at all. But Brad, bring the things you like, Why? Let's discuss an album you hate just for the hell of it. Let's not do that.
Well, there's a few of them, but I won't mention them, and we might talk about it later.
God, I'm just waiting for the day when one of us picks one, and one of the others go, "This is the worst album in Christendom. Why are we doing this?"
It might happen. It might happen.
I know, absolutely.
Andrew's got something in the background, I can tell. He hasn't told us, but he's already got something going on, I can tell. I don't know, he hasn't said anything.
The next one we're doing is
Simon, I sense from his comment there we're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, ever, we're in a bit of trouble. Is that we're doing next week we're doing Trout Marsh Replica by Captain Beefheart. If you've never heard it, it's an interesting record. That is, it's not British blues, so we can avoid that. But
good,
yes.
So we're up to Merry-Go-Round. I love this song. This is a 3-piece, bass, drums, guitar with vocals, obviously. Great tones and playing all around. Gary stripped back. His vibrato is amazing. I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew. Like in this song, I find his vibrato, he's using his own style of vibrato, but it's very hard to copy someone's vibrato on guitar. But, it's a guitar trademark thing. And he's honouring Peter Green with the way he's playing, which is remarkable how Gary can adapt his playing style to get so close to people. When he does a Hendrix tribute, he's playing like Hendrix. When he plays Stevie Ray Vaughan, he plays like Stevie Ray Vaughan. When he plays, he's got that natural ability to, because he's got the ear for it, and he's really honed in on this with Peter Green. The solo is frightfully good. I mean, for me, it's like I said, I'm a bit biased because Gary just seems to you know, when he plays, there's just something about his playing, whether he's playing ferociously or really beautifully subtle. He's just got something about his playing and the feel. Gary is staying close to Peter Green's style, but it's reframing from going into a blistering style. Like you can hear him, you can hear him holding back. He wants to do blistering pentatonic runs, but he's not doing it. You know what I mean? Or almost no.
Wait for it. Yes.
Let me rephrase that. It's like you can tell that he would normally go for a blistering pentatonic run in that spot, but he's holding it back deliberately. It's like he's doing it so tastefully. Look, I gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful song, done so well.
Yeah. So my first question, to me, this was the out of phase sound. This is the first one with the out of phase sound. Am I right with that?
That's checking. Correct, Simon.
Yeah. That's what the first thing you thought. Aha! I recognise that. I presume that's the out of phase sound. So it's the second is clearly a slow blues. The intro is very "Need Your Love So Bad," isn't it? Those first 4 or 5 notes are very which kind of gives it an echo. We'll come to that later. But I agree, Brad. He's got impassioned vocals, over the chords, and he's got those guitar lines as well. So clearly he's double tracking the guitars on this as well. I think there's 2 guitars on it. A great solo is great. I like the dynamics of it. The fact that he'll play something loud and then he'll play something soft, play some little soft bits. And really using the volume of the guitar and the volume of the way he plays to give it dynamic, to give it feel. It's really good. And I like the fact that when they go back to the third verse, they have the chords and the lead lines, and they kind of intertwine between the 2 things. It's great, and it's got classic blues ending. So it's a 9 out of 10 from me, and never a skip. So great, really good.
I'm glad that Simon mentioned the out of phase tone, because I'm looking at my notes, and that's one of the reasons why I ran around like a headless rooster when I first heard it, because I just love that tone. I still do. I still get goosebumps when I hear the intro to this. It's remarkable. It's beautiful. I'd love to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I think the next song is something that we need to talk about. But because of that identifiable out of phase tone and that exquisite timing that he has, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. And again, it's never a skip. It's never a skip.
It's impossible to skip that one, unfortunately. If anyone wants to skip it, well, I don't want to say it. So
it's interesting that thing. Sorry, Brad, about that thing about programming and stuff, and where you put songs and where you organise songs and things like that, so that with a bit of luck, people get it right. So that even if a song is slighter than the last one or slighter than the next one, it still has a place and still does a job within the flow of an album.
Yeah. No, I agree totally. So up to I Loved Another Woman. This is a hauntingly great version. Gary's playing, and this is unbelievable. I mean, listening to that reverb alone makes you drift off somewhere else. The band is so tight. They're staying pretty truthful to the original. Gary's vocal again is amazing, and the mix ends with that reverb increasing towards the end. It's just the way they've done it. It's goosebump material for me. Listening to Gary's playing on this one, you can tell.
Hey, Johnny.
You can tell that he's just so engrossed in doing the, paying homage to probably his biggest influence. So I have to give this song a 20 out of 10. I can't give it any less.
Well done.
And I'm going to pass it to Simon because I'll waffle on for hours. So
it's for me, the first thing that struck me about this is that it's very Black Magic Woman. That's the same kind of Latin-y vibe as Black Magic Woman, which is cool. That's
it's a very common Peter Green thing, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I'm not complaining. That's not a criticism. It's just an observation of how it struck me. When I sit, you think, oh yeah, which I'm all for. I'm all for turning a song I don't know very well. If it's got some familiar territory, something for me to hold on to, then that's cool. Sound or whatever that you think. Oh yeah, I agree with you. The reverb guitar, that big kind of reverb, and clearly. Just bass and drums on it as well. I don't think there's any other instruments on it, and he's got that massive, and you're right, it gets bigger, doesn't it, as they go through. When he gets to the solo, that big echo reverb solo, it's just like he's allowing it really to bloom, isn't he? He's really taking up all that space with just his playing and stuff, which is really cool. And again, then that thing anniversary of the chords and the lead lines as well that he plays. I don't know if he's doing them together. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. But really, really cool. I'll give it a 10 out of 10 as well. I think it's a really good song. It's got that vibe, isn't it? That kind of cool, laid back vibe. Yeah, lovely. And he's a contrast to the first two. He's absolutely a contrast to the first two.
Andrew.
One of the things about going third is, unfortunately, you're just going to have to hang on the coattails of what your co-hosts have said. So, I'm not going to offer.
If you want.
No, we take turns. I'm not going to offer much other than, again, the skillful manipulation of the producers and Gary, how they introduce aspects of Fleetwood Mac and Peter Green's tone and playing through the years. So as my co-hosts have rightly and correctly pointed out, this is the first time where we've heard reverb. And if you guys go back and listen to the Boston Tea Party where it's live recording, Peter loves reverb. He just drenches a lot of his songs in reverb. So we're getting that Fleetwood Mac, Peter Greenish component of reverb in this song, which Simon correctly said is completely different from the other songs. So wonderful production, wonderful effect manipulation to the songs, and this album's taking you on a journey. So I love it. One of the reasons why I love this album is it's Gary Moore's journey as well. So look, this song's bordering on a supreme masterpiece in blues guitar playing, and I think it's a 20 out of 10. It's a song that any aspiring blues guitarist, no matter what age you are, needs to listen and try and reflect on. And it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Brad.
Sorry, can I just break it? Texas Jackdaw asks, does anyone know how much influence Gary had over his recordings? Serious question. Of course. I mean, what, in terms of producing?
Gary was always co-producing on everything he did. I mean, Gary was this particular, when he played in Thin Lizzy, he used to tune all the other stringed instruments himself to make sure everyone was in tune with each other. That's how particular he was with everything. He's fanatically particular. So I couldn't imagine him just lifting his hands up and going, you guys can do this producing. You guys can. He would have had total control over everything he did, including this, without a doubt.
Especially in this phase, isn't it, Brad? Especially in this blues phase, which is clearly where he wants to go and he's driving it. So yeah,
well, he wanted this to be what do you call it? A true heartfelt thank you to Peter Green. He wouldn't have had it any other way. I almost guarantee that he would have been grinding his band to get it right. I can guarantee that. It would have been rehearse. Once it's right, he probably would have went, right, I want to fix this as well. So, like, that's how Gary would have been.
Well, he did the
100%.
same thing with Baker and Bruce, didn't he? When they recorded their album, he wrote the songs, he was responsible for the production. So, and when did the album come out? Around this time, early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in I think it was 95, 96 or something.
Yeah. We've done that album. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll tag that. I'll tag that. Someone showed us last night how to tag videos on the end of these videos. So I'll go back and I'll tag that video that we did.
Do it.
That was one of your first shows with us, bro. I think, Brad.
I actually was thinking about that the other night, which was my first show with you guys. I can't really remember. I think it was more the Van Halen.
Lured you in.
Yeah, I think before Andrew said you can't go, and I know people in Melbourne that will come after you if you decide to leave.
Well, I know your address, man. I know where you live.
Where you live. I know people where you live.
I know where you work.
I know why Andrew sends it. I know why Andrew sends things in the mail. It's not so I can do unboxings online. It's so he knows my address.
What has he sent you? Sort of dead animals or something?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, live ones, yes.
Oh,
horse's head.
I don't want to give him any. I don't want to give him any ideas. Let's not give him any ideas, Simon. Please.
No, I've ruined it already. See, he's now got loads of ideas from my.
Oh, Mark lives in Melbourne too.
No, there you go.
Mark Tanner, yeah.
Well, guys, we're up to Need Your Love So Bad. I've got one word for this. Amazing.
Yeah.
Probably, and this might upset some Peter Green fans, this is probably my favorite version of this song ever. Hands down for me. Gary's vocal is wonderful. Guitar playing is beautiful. Gary's playing frightfully good. Like, frightfully good on this song. You can hear how much Gary loved Peter Green's playing in this song. There's such an emotive feel in this song already, but Gary certainly represented this respectfully. Gary's solo brings tears to my eyes. It's just truly one of the greatest guitarists ever. The organ brings in a nice ambient feel. The symphony parts are beautiful. The band are keeping this song respectfully simple. And I can't say enough great things about this. I wish that the song didn't fade off and it could have kept going another 7 or 8 minutes like it is. I'm being honest, this song, this recording of this song is amazing. I've heard Gary play this live a lot. I absolutely love this song. I can imagine what the feeling would have been when they finished this song in the studio. They would have just been like, that's a keeper. That's a keeper. That's the one. I can't give it anything but a 20 out of 10. And, it's phenomenal. So I'll pass it on to you guys before I talk a lot more.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, it is the classic, isn't it? It is absolutely the classic. But I mean, I think that it is very faithful to the original. I think that certainly the beginning bit is in the way that the use of strings. The thing that struck me about that is that you've got those kind of staccato strings, that give it a tension, underneath the things, which I think is really cool. And against the guitar, and you've got the, then you in the verse 2, you've got the strings, you've got that extra strings playing a top line over the top with the guitar, and that's lovely. That's just a little detail, a change of a coloration. Then in verse 3, you've got that tremolo voice again, but with no strings, no guitar, just sort of does it pretty, which I think is really good. That absolutely change of feel. So you've got to just, I think having the confidence to just go, I'm just going to sing this with the bass and drums, not really a guitar at all, not no other thing. It's really good. That to me is confidence. I know what I'm doing. I can do it, and I am. And I don't care. Nobody. There's plenty of guitar to come. Right now, for a change of emphasis, change of mood, I can just do that. I like the way the staccato strings build the tension before the solo begins as well. There's a kind of lead into it. As you say, Brad, it's got a lovely, mellow, mournful feel, solo full of feel. Big sound, strings and organ under the solo, with the bass and the drums. Great use of dynamics and playing loud and soft, play a loud phrase, play a quiet phrase, which is, really good. And clearly he's gone off in his own direction at this point.
We've been raided, guys.
No.
Who's got the siren?
Good morning. I haven't got the siren. Good morning, Johnny Bean. Fruitcake. Fruitcake. Who else? Rico B. Maria Valenzuela. Hello. Renus. How you doing, Renus? KXM Rock. It's a great
name.
Hey,
Johnny.
Jeff Doughton. Miles Taylor. Mark. I don't know, Mark is not really. John BL. Hey, John.
Say DVD again. All right. We're saying DVD. Yeah. So how many subs does that give us? Don't forget to sub to the channel, guys. Thank you, Neanderthal. DVD.
DVD. What we need is Johnny needs to say picture. Yes.
See, all the rap bags are here, and I'm not an Australian. I'm a New Zealander.
Yeah, we'd like to point out to Mr. Bean that rat bag is a New Zealand saying, not an Australian one, and it's very bad to mix them up.
An Australian version of a rat bag is an X-rated word that we can't say on this show. It's called a pack of.
Pack of rat bags.
Thank you for the raid, guys.
Thank you for the raid, guys. Good to see you. I hope you're all good. Yeah, you're right, Neanderthal. Yeah, rat bag is a great band name. 3 more from them later. Yes. Oh, Wayno. Good morning, Wayno. Jeff T.
Morning, everyone.
Michael 5150. And DVD FRNZWPR. The unpronounceable name. It's the first time I've never known how to pronounce a name. It's too difficult.
No. So good to see everyone here. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by, guys. It's very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Neanderthal. I agree. Gary Moore's a massive and super underrated. Love him. Yeah.
100%.
We're up to
me so bad.
Gassing on in the middle of so it's a 20 out of 10. I think you're right. I think it's we've been building up to this from the other tracks, and this is what I would call the first 20 out of 10 song on here. I think it's fantastic. I think he does a brilliant job on it as a piece, because it contains the Fleetwood Mac bit, but it also contains the Gary Moore bit as well. I think that's something of a feat to pull off. If you can, the second half is Gary Moore and the first half is, but using those elements as well. So it's a 20 out of 10 from me. Mm-hmm. Probably not a skip.
Andrew.
Need Your Love So Bad is probably one of the first Fleetwood Mac songs that stuck in my mind. And I just have to jump on the coattails again of my co-hosts and give it a 20 out of 10. I dovetails into I Loved Another Woman. It's just just 2 A-sides, just 2 brilliant versions of classic English blues songs. I will say this though, what's really interesting about this song, compared to Peter Green's version, and only Gary can do this, and I've listened to it a few times in preparation for this album. I noticed that Gary's turning the gain up more and more on this album, and this is where I can identify the game being turned up a bit. So again, it's something that only a master guitarist can get away with, without making it sound gainy. but it has a lot more gain than Peter Green's version. But the similarity obviously is there, and again, just Gary adding his little bit of magic onto these songs that's a little bit different from the original version. So masterclass. How many times have I said that? Masterclass in electric blues guitar playing. Masterclass.
Yeah.
Add it to the list of masterclass songs.
Yeah.
Well, like I said at the start of the, in the introduction, that Gary Moore basically said, Need Your Love So Bad was one he'd been playing for a long time and it meant so much to him. And he did also say the original is much shorter than people realize. And basically his one goes a bit longer because he just added more guitar in at the end and stuff like that. But obviously that's he's taking creative liberty there to do so. And, but yeah, amazing version of the song. And I'm glad we're all on the same page with that one, because I would have been very upset and there would have been timeouts if if we weren't. So
I just want to do a shout out to Robot. We've got Robot in the chat.
He's
the recipient of the first ever competition the channel has run. So you're engraved in history there, brother.
Well, I was just going to pick up on what you just said, because I think that there could be a class of just saying, well, okay, Need Your Love So Bad, it's a clone of what Fleetwood Mac did, and therefore, you could, I could see some people going, well, it's just a clone of Fleetwood Mac, and having some difficulty with it. I think he doesn't do. I mean, I think he keeps the feel, he keeps the vibe. Clearly, if you're going to do Need Your Love So Bad, you've got to do the beginning bit like Need Your Love So Bad. Otherwise, it's not going to be the song. But I think Andrew, as you said, he brings himself more into the second half of it and things, and that's difficult to do. I think he does it really well. Pulls himself into the second half.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, he of course he's going to put himself in there a little bit. You can't replicate Peter Green 100%. No one can. So, but so we're up to The Same Way. Are we up to that one, guys? Yeah, we are.
We are indeed.
So on this track, I noticed he's got a bit of a raunchier guitar tone on this song. Still in theme of Peter Green, but it's just a little bit raunchy, and the band are cooking. Gary's vocals are fantastic again, including his double BVs. I found that I'm not sure if there's a lot of BVs on the songs earlier than this, but this one's got some double V backing vocals, and he's done them beautifully. The solo is blistering hot, but staying true to the stylings of Peter Green. The tone is killer. And I gave it an 8 out of 10, guys. Simon.
I agree. Yes, following off what Andrew did, I picked up on that slightly heavier guitar tone. I thought that was the first time I'd really picked up on it. I think clearly my ears are not going well. But I thought that was really interesting, that there was a slightly more drive and slightly more sort of push to it. I think that this is the first time he does those kind of fast pentatonic runs that you talked about earlier, Brad. He doesn't, he hasn't done them up until now. He's been quite restrained about it, and he just lets himself go a bit, doesn't he? It's only 2.5 minutes long, this song, so it's kind of, it's tight and focused and thing. It's and he packs a lot in, so it's an 8 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. It's not, I can see why after a long, slow thing, you want something a bit more upbeat and a bit more, zippy with a slightly different flair. So, it does that job, doesn't it? Of getting you out of the slow blues of Need Your Love So Bad. So it's definitely an 8 out of 10. And interesting the way that it's builds in a different direction.
Yeah, Andrew.
I'm giving this song a 10 out of 10. It's a song that goes back to his first album with John Mayall from A Hard Road, which is always, an album that we need to discuss at some stage, guys, because it's the album that came after the Beano album, isn't it? So, yeah, we should discuss that at some stage. Good show for us to consider how we're going to do. But look, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 because, and it's a Peter Green song. So he's a young man playing with Britain's premier British English blues band. Yeah, I love it. I can't add any more other than go back and listen to the original John Mayall version. So if you guys aren't familiar with the album, it's this album cover here. Hold on, guys. It's that album cover there.
No, yeah.
So go and check that out. And there's a couple of other songs that we're going to talk about that are on that album as well that are probably more famous. But, that's a deep dive. That's a deep dive song. But I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Good.
We're up to the Supernatural. So my first note on this, and that's all I was going to leave it at, was sustain. That's all I can say about this one. And what an amazing reverb as well. Gary is giving the Greeny Les Paul a great run on this one. You can hear Gary's holding back from tearing out blistering runs by staying truthful to Greeny, Peter Green. But here where I guess we should be honored that we're sitting and listening to a true master of the instrument on this, because his total control of volume, gain, and tone, it's frightfully good. And no disrespect to anyone else that's had possession of Greeny, but I don't think anyone can play Peter Green this frightfully good. And I have to say, this is the more I listened to this one, I just kept thinking, wow. That's all I could think. I had to give it 10 out of 10 for that reason. And, I did go and listen to the Peter Green's version of this. And again, it's wow, but I don't know, maybe because I'm a Gary Moore nut. Something about
sacrilege.
Gets the fur lifted a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
So 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Interestingly, the John Mayall's Bluesbreaker version, the single note, they pan it. It goes across from left to right and then back again. And Gary doesn't do that. It's a straight down the line thing, which is an interesting little quirk. Obviously, clearly you would have known that. It just decided not to do it. But as I said in the last
Texas.
Cheers, Texas. Thanks for dropping by. Take care and sleep well. I know obviously clearly Peter Green did it as well, but it's that confidence of just we're going to play a single note and I'm going to just sit there and go, and it just let it bloom and let it, it's fantastic, and it's it's great, with that little organ underneath, just kind of, works really well, gives it an atmosphere, gives it a, and as I say, gives you a sense of, it gives me a sense of, that here is a man who's confident about what he's doing. And whether it's Peter Green or whether it's, Gary Moore, that the confidence to hold that one note for a long time, that tremendous kind of urge to play 12 notes when one will do. And clearly one will do here, no problems at all. So I agree. It's that one note. Really, it's that one note, isn't it? That defines this song. That long, kind of thing, going on for ages. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, but it's never a skip. It has a different feel to it. Has a different. It does. You're always looking at you in the flow of an album for songs that do different things. They have different things within them, give them a different color. How does it fit with the last one? How does it fit with the next one? I'd just like to point out that we've had 2 songs that start with the the same way and the Supernatural. And that sort of thing pleases me no end. So yeah, that's me. Great stuff from Geary. Mr. Walton. Yeah, see?
Did that come through okay? You guys hear that?
It was a bit quiet, but
It's a bit quiet, but got the idea.
Hold on, because we won't get flagged. Hold on,
Turn
I'll
it
just
up.
play it again.
Turn it up.
Hold on, guys. That come through all right?
Yeah. I love that. I love that sort of thing. Off the end. It's really cool.
Yeah, that space that the song gives you as a listener, it's just it's phenomenal. I love the reverb. I've got to agree with what Brad said. You know, it's no one can play Peter Green like Gary Moore, and you know, there's a lot of hot guitar players out there. You know, we did the Mick Fleetwood tribute show, and there's a couple of cool cats there. Rick Vito gets pretty close, and you know, a couple of other guys. I'm sure in 10, 15 years' time, I think Gary Moore's going to be spoken about in the same way that we talk about Eric Clapton and Peter Green today, and Mick Taylor, and Keith Richards. You know, I'm convinced, and we just need a bit of time, I think, for that to filter up, for that to rise. And you know, one of the ways that we can contribute to that happening is with the three of us presenting a discussion on this album tonight, and everybody in the chat offering all these awesome, wonderful comments about Gary Moore and his playing, and how cool this album is. And it's goosebumps material for me. To be part of some of these special shows that we do. So go and listen, guys, after the show. Go to Spotify, put some headphones on, and go and listen to this song before you go to bed. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. What did you rank it there, Andrew?
Oh, usual score, 20 out of 10.
Oh dear.
Love it. Well, yeah, I think we're all on the same page. Gary's just, you know, to me, he's already at that level. He's, you know, without a doubt, one of my biggest influences on guitar. Just, I mean, he's phenomenal. So we're up to drifting.
Thanks, Maria.
Not drifting, but drifting.
Yeah, it's all in the pronunciation.
It's all in the pronunciation. Yeah, drifting. Again, I noticed he's using a raunchier tone on this. I love the run at 37 seconds into the song. But all he's playing on this is frightfully good. There's so much space and feel. His timing on his phrasing is so unique. He's still leaning more towards Peter Green, but there's definite, you know, Gary Moore's creeping in now by this stage of the album. This probably has some of the hottest aggressive guitar playing on the album.
Yep.
Without a doubt. And even at 2 minutes 11 into the song, he even makes a very little slur mistake, but opted to leave it there rather than take it out, because the take was unbelievable. If you just have a listen to that, you'll hear what I mean. It's like an uncertainty thing, like where he's at position, must have been playing with his head back or something and just going for it. But I love how they've just left it in there. I mean, I'm being super critical. It's not really bad. It's nothing bad, but you can hear a little slur, like it's not something that Gary would normally leave in there. This song was a perfect example of how they recorded live in the studio, in my opinion. The vocal is powerful. The band are tight. But again, I have to say Gary's guitar playing is the highlight of this song for me. Smoking hot, blistering hot. If any guitarist out there wants a good example of space between the phrasing and the perfect blues licks and overall lessons on how to play the blues, then this is the song for you. I gave it a 20 out of 10. It's Simon.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I also picked up on a slightly heavier thing going on to start with, sort of, as you say, bit more of Gary Moore coming in and just, alongside the Peter Green stuff, which is interesting. And I think that having a piano on it as well, not really had much piano before. So piano gives it, definitely that kind of underneath gives it a different feel to having just a rhythm guitar or something playing.
Yeah,
and as you say, that little slur, that little fault that they left in, of course they could have gone back and fixed it, kind of thing, as a thing, but they didn't even bother to do that. Just went with it. I think is and clearly you're right. That thing about they're all playing together, in the studio and stuff, and a lot of it's done with all those guys together. I think that gives these sort of tracks. They benefit from that, They wouldn't benefit from building them up from a, on a click track and those sorts of things. I don't think they would at all benefit from that. So, I think that you're right. That the solo at the end, that kind of big solo, starting with the 2-note chords that come in, and then he's got all those classic Gary Moore fast runs and classic blues, the fast blasting away, is absolutely, with his impassioned playing, is absolutely, there's Gary turning up, and giving it some, and it's a chance to stretch out. Clearly we said that some of the songs are shorter, much shorter, and not doing that, but no. So this is it's a 10 out of 10 from me. Loved it. It's really good, really impassioned play, and as you say, it's a kind of masterclass in playing that sort of style, isn't it? Absolutely.
Andrew.
Dr. Walton.
Yeah, I love the way that the bass and the guitar are creating that space and giving Gary, his guitar playing, an opportunity to stand out in front again. That's a little bit different, instead of being mixed, in front. Dun 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 dun, that the bass and the guitar play, that the drums are doing, and then you've got Gary coming through. Not going to add any more other than around that 7-minute 7:36 mark. Check the double stops, because we've been treated to Gary's single note phrasing through a lot of the solos and a lot of the songs, and just check out the way that Gary's hitting those double stops on the solo towards the end. It's just, again, another identifiable thing that is set apart from all the other songs on this album. It's a 10 out of 10, guys.
I'm gonna have to go back and have a listen to that now. That's I listened to that song so many times. I've listened to this album while I've been doing things, while I've been driving. It's just been on constantly this whole week. It's been crazy. I've reconnected with this, and my love for Gary Moore's playing has just taken another level again. It's just unbelievable. But so what are we up to? We're up to Showbiz Blues. Okay, so open tuning. It's got some slide with haunting reverb. This is obviously Gary's, he's done 1 or 2 takes of this live, I'd say. You can hear his voice is comfortable, but there's some very raw, somewhat not perfect vocal parts in there. Not saying that they're bad, but I know Gary would normally try and perfect something, and I don't think he's gone for perfection. He's just gone for the take. So basically, what he's done is he's done the best version of the song, and he's just put it on the album. And I love the slide outro; it's beautiful. Again, he's used reverb, trying to get that haunting Peter Green tone is phenomenal. He's done an amazing job with it. I gave the song an 8 out of 10, and it's never a skip, Simon.
No, I agree. I think and the first thing I say about it is that it's just him. It's just him and guitar. It's just and clearly we're at that point in the album where you have to do. You're going to do something different. You're gonna change the vibe, the feel, of the album completely. So I think this does this really well. I think that we've had band up until now. We've had strings, we've had piano, we've had some keyboards, we've had some horns on one track, and then you need to do something different by the time you get to track 9. And I think just to have him doing it on his own, as you say, probably single take all the way through, without that, I think is great. And I think some of this is about it's doing its job, isn't it? To kind of, so you go, oh right, yeah, no bass, no drums, no, just him. I noticed that as I went back and listened to the original, the Fleetwood Mac version has tambourine and hand clap kind of thing, just to keep the rhythm. But he doesn't bother with that; it just keeps doing it. I think the driven guitar playing, there's that slide driven guitar thing. It reminded me of George Thorogood in a way. Or George Thorogood, it doesn't matter who did it first, or Peter Green did it first, but yeah, it reminded me of that kind of quite hard playing. So it's a great sound, and I think doing it on your own with no bass and no drums, you've got a big sound to fill up, and it does that really well, and he alternates between the solo slide bits and the more sort of rhythmic guitar bits as well. It's really good. And as you say, the reverb on the vocals makes them really big, doesn't it? Makes them fill up a lot of space. That kind of, I don't know if it's hall reverb or what it is, but it's big, isn't it? It gives it a really big feel. And as you say, that kind of at the end when he breaks down to the single note slides to the end, it's lovely. So it's really cool. So it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I really liked it. As an exercise in doing something different and having the confidence to do it as well, which I think is really cool.
Yep. Simon, Andrew,
I'll go around again.
It's not my favourite song on the album. All the previous songs on this album are up there as far as comparisons with other Fleetwood, with the Fleetwood Mac versions, and it's fine. It's fine to make the comparisons of Fleetwood Mac songs with this album because, as Brad pointed out in his intro, this is Gary paying back to Peter, and our responsibility as blues fans is to appreciate that. It's not my favorite version. The original on Then Play On is just phenomenal. As far as Peter is concerned, playing the slide. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Not my favorite song on the album. But having said that, though, it's still not a skip. But yep. I think this song is missing something. Every song that we've had so far has had a connection for me, and I've identified something that's unique to Gary's perspective. But I can't find anything on this song that's of the caliber with the other songs, guys. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And Mark Tanner asks, is this still on the Les Paul or was it a different guitar?
I think he did the whole. Whole album with Greeny.
According to my research, yes. I would say 99.9%.
Yeah, I think that the whole point of him doing that Greeny Blues for Greeny, he wanted to make sure he used Peter Green's guitar. So we can't be 100% on that, but Gary has mentioned in that interview that Andrew's posted in the chat there that he used this guitar on every song. So I guess yes is the answer.
Could I just say a thing that occurred to me, Andrew, when you were just saying about tribute to Peter Green. Of course, the other side of this is that these pretty much are all Peter Green songs, and therefore Peter Green would get money from this, wouldn't he? You know, it would generate income for him as
He would have got
royalties,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And I'm sure that that would have been very welcome for him. You know. So you know, I always think about the things I mainly think about it whenever Pink Floyd do anything, they always have a Syd Barrett song or two on them, you know, and I'm, you know, on Pulse, you know, they have Astro Domini and all of that, you know, and you just think to yourself, some of that is about, you know, big selling albums, you know, and it generates income for people, you know, for the people who might need it a bit. So I think that for me, I don't know if it's true that there is, but I feel like there's a practical element to these things that you know, that are helping these people. You know, with a bit of money, doesn't go amiss, does it? You know, so that's really cool as well.
Probably,
I mean that in a positive way, but
yeah. So we're up to "Love That Burns." This is the second last track on the record. It's got a really nice intro. That nasal tone is evident again on this one. The horns add something special. The vocal take and voice that Gary is doing is very heartfelt. There's a lot of space in this song. It's a drier sound overall, including the guitar. To me, this sounds very much like a smaller amp to my ears, like he's using the smaller amp, like not a 412 cabinet.
Right.
You know, like Gary said, the guitar had something special, and you can hear that in this song. It was really highlighted. His solo is beautiful. The vibrato, the odd pick rake he does here and there, you know, sort of emulating that Peter Green style. I gave it an 8 out of 10, guys, and it's a really, really good version of the song. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Simon.
Yeah. So Love That Burns. We have a waltz, ladies and gentlemen. 6/8 time. We have a waltz. Take your partners. Well, I think that's good because everything else has been in 4/4, and now you've got 6/8. You know, and I think that again, it's just a little thing, but you go, right, okay. I do something else now. I've just had as we just discussed, I've just had a song that has just me on it. And now I'm going to do a kind of slow, smoky blues song in 6/8 time, you know, waltz time. And, you know, it's going to have an organ and sax on it, you know, again. So, again, a different feel, a different kind of song, doing a different thing, giving it a texture, giving it a different color to the previous song. Quite a different song, quite a different color to the previous song. Which I think is you know, which is, you know, clearly somebody's thought about it, you know, you know, so you've got the verses with the singing over the horns and the piano. Again, the horns kind of drop back in the mix, not really loud, but playing over that, and you've got the soft guitar interludes as well. I made a note, you know, again that use of dynamics that he does, and the vibrato vocals towards the end, and the solo. I think with the out of phase bit, I think that's, you know, I think that's an out of phase over the sax and the bass and the drums and the piano is great. And I give this I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because I like the contrast with the previous song. You know, I like the last one. I like contrast. You know, it shows somebody's thought about it and, you know, thinking about it. And I think he plays fantastically on it. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Not a skip because it absolutely does that textural thing. I really think is cool.
Andrew.
Yeah, I for a long time I never you know, liked the song because of the horns. I always thought that the horns got in the way of that beautiful out of phase tone. that I craved for. So over the years, it's certainly growing on me to a point where I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, because I've appreciated, as I've gotten older, horns, and how that can contrast and add to a song. Back when I was, less grayer, it was always about the guitar, and anything else that got in the way of the guitar, I didn't want, if that makes any sense. So we have to develop some maturity as listeners too, and that certainly comes with age. It's one thing that age. One of the great things about age, isn't it? Experience. Look, I think the guitar playing is phenomenal on this song. The whole album, as we've said many times, is just phenomenal. The out of phase tone is perfect. I love it. I'm glad that Simon mentioned the fact that you've got a waltz, that you've got something that you can play when you've got a girl over, and she's going to probably let you give her a chocolate or two.
So just he drops into child catcher mode far too easily, frankly, doesn't he?
Well, don't you guys have chocolates when girls come over? Don't you have a
Mars bars?
Hey, buddy.
Sorry,
when you go to Brad's place, you get M&Ms. Hey, when you go to Brad's place, you just.
Time out, lovely. Oh dear.
We're learning more about you, Andrew.
I'm not making jokes about the horns, says Mark. But you guys get the point. You get what I'm saying. It's it's a great song, and it's a romantic song. It's a love that burns. I love it. And as I've gotten older, I've appreciated it because of these things. It's never a skip, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Beautiful. So that brings us to the final track of the album, and I'm still thinking of your chocolate story, mate. So I'm trying to get into the zone again. Oh goodness! Looking for somebody that wants to eat chocolate.
You eat my. Look at that! I'll eat the barbecue. Texas girl.
Sonia, stop us now, for goodness sake.
Let's just pull it back off the. We're starting to go down a dirt track.
Get
now.
off the grill. Yes.
Get back on the bitumen. Come on, get back on the bitumen.
Keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel.
I'm gonna have to issue some time out soon.
Oh dear.
All right, let's pull it back. Looking for somebody. All right, great feel on this one. The vocals are amazing, and I really love how, like on the drums, it's got the tom and the ride feel. It's awesome. The guitar playing is haunting. The volume swells are wonderful. Gary's ability to channel like Peter Green's stylings is remarkable, like I've said before. At 2 minutes 23 in the song, you can hear Gary accidentally strike another string. It's like a slight fluff he does. He slightly fluffs an open string, but obviously he's just left it in there because this take has the right feel. The delay used on the guitar solo is very cool. The band's holding it down. They don't fault anything. They're tight, solid, laying a foundation for Gary to just improvise on. The tone opens up on the Les Paul. Sounds blistering towards the end. It's a great way to end the album, and a real fitting thank you to Peter Green. And I have to say this, that I think Gary outdid himself on this one as a thank you, or not so much a tribute, but a thank you to Peter Green for the music and for his playing and the influence he had on Gary as a young fella. So 10 out of 10 for me for this one. It's a phenomenal album, and I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to get through this. So, Simon, let's keep it on the bitumen. Let's keep going.
So, I think just on that sort of swooping air guitar, I take it that at the beginning, when he does the beginning, that he's using the volume control of his guitar to come in.
All volume and tone on his guitar.
Yeah. Which is really cool. It's again another interesting little effect that that he's not used before. I don't think that the lady is really cool because it really stands out. The other thing I picked up on, because I went and listened to it, is that seemingly that volume swell thing with the guitar, it seems to be imitating the harmonica on the original. It's clear there's no harmonica, but there isn't a harmonica on the original, and it seemed to be that what he was doing with the guitar was imitating the harmonica, which is really cool. Take the part. I haven't got a harmonica, so I'll play it with something else. I think that's that I really like that, because I think it gives it a different vibe, but keeps something of the original. I think those big guitar sounds are very atmospheric, and and towards the end he gets that long, atmospheric, intense instrumental part that he goes into. That's fantastic. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's never a skip, and I think it's a fantastic way to end. Again, I think it has a different vibe, and I feel the album starts off quite tightly focused on the blues stuff, and then all of a sudden it kind of opens out, and has more textures, and things happen towards the back end of the album that I think keep the interest and keep it fresh, keep it different, and have those contrasts that I think make a really good album. Absolutely. So that's what I say about it. It's great. Mr. Walton, sir.
It's the last song. Obviously, it's fitting because this is the song where Gary busts the mold a little bit and starts being Gary Moore. It's a little bit different from all the other songs. Are faithful to the Fleetwood Mac versions, in my opinion. But this song, while it is, reminiscent of the Fleetwood Mac's version, it's certainly the song where Gary has stamped his own authority, his own version, and it's probably fitting that it's the last song on the album that he's going to do that. And Simon's made a good point there about how he's not following the harmonica and playing his version of that part on the song. And both the co-hosts have spoken about the volume swells, which is identifiably the key, I think, for the song. It's a 10 out of 10. It's never a skip, and I just think that the mistakes that Brad has mentioned that are in the song a tribute to the fact that it was recorded live, something that Gary loved doing. It was something that they did with Baker Bruce and Moore. They enjoyed that. They enjoy that spirit that you get in in the session. I'm convinced anyway. I'm convinced it was recorded live. If not, certainly the guitar was in one take.
Yeah.
Certainly in one take. It's a masterpiece of an album. It's been a pleasure to share just about 2 hours talking about it, and all the superlatives and all the adjectives that you can find are deservedly so on this album and on Gary Moore. We can't say enough, and it's really pleasing to see Mo's show, for example, and his comments, Mark's comments, Sonia's comments, all the way in Texas. That she even knows Gary Moore. So Derek, from the UK, everyone is just jumping on board, just saying this is a great album. So, you guys in the chat, for posterity, when someone does some research in years to come, are going to look back and go, wow, Gary Moore had an influence on people in 2021. So well done. Well done, Brad. Good pick. We've picked some great albums, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to pick this one. And thanks to everyone in the chat for participating and giving your opinions and your comments as well. It's why we do this. We love interacting with everyone and getting everyone. And as Andrew said, it's great to be able to do some deep diving into this and have some relevance there for future for people to look at and utilize. We're not experts. We're just diving into it the way we know best, and with the resourcefulness that we've found, hopefully more stuff surfaces. But it's the old story. Imagine how cool it would be if some stuff surfaced of live rehearsals of Gary getting this band together to do this. And I will also say this: there is a live DVD of this, Gary Blues for Greeny, which is live in concert, and I highly recommend everyone watch that. And Gary does some little snippets of talking in between some of the songs, like they're interviewing him about Peter Green and the guitar. So please, we might even try and find a link for it somewhere it might be on YouTube maybe, and you can go and watch it. So it's phenomenal. And Gary, put a lot of pressure on himself by having Peter Green side of stage for the performance that he recorded for video. So that would have been overwhelmingly. I could just imagine, inviting Gary Moore to come and see one of my shows and me playing all Gary Moore songs. So yeah, that would have been like the same sort of thing for me, like having Gary Moore side of stage while I'm playing all Gary's songs. It'd be like, whoa, how can I play Still Got the Blues while Gary's standing there like this? So for me, that's what it would be like. So I could put it in that same way, and that just goes to show the level of professionalism and everything that Gary Moore was, and how articulate he was, in honouring the Peter Green, and unfortunately, Gary had to sell that guitar. He had a lot of money problems and stuff, and he had end up having to sell the guitar. I mean, that's pretty sad that he had to do that, and it obviously ended up with Kurt Hammett now. But Gary just used that guitar as a tool as well. I mean, he had an accident with that guitar. He had it in the back of the boot of his car. He just threw it in the boot of his car and got rear-ended, and the headstock snapped on it. I mean, that was Gary. He just used his guitars as tools, and I loved that. That's amazing. I mean, the guitar's worth how much? I mean, damn,
$2 million you paid for it.
Yeah, so yeah, $2 million for a guitar with a broken headstock. But I mean, you wouldn't hear that normally. Like you would have some, that the legacy of the guitar. I mean, its legacy, in my opinion, is stems from Peter Green, but for me as well, it's just as important. Gary's contribution to that guitar. And but I hope you guys enjoyed this album as much as I did. I obviously being a bit of a Gaza fan, I love Gaza more, and so I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as me.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, because wasn't that familiar with it, so it's really good to. I like getting into things I'm not that familiar with. It's it's lovely. It's lovely to do. Aqualung that I've heard 5,000 million times before, but actually to listen to an album I haven't really listened to before is more fun in many ways. One thing I will say about it is that, interestingly, and I think this is that we've not look at that. Derek Klexel, Gary played Greeny live on the Corridors of Power. Wow, nice one, Derek. That's cool. It's was that we've made no mention, I don't think, in the entire program of the bass and the drummer of Andy Pyle and Graham Walker.
No,
not particularly. No, but I'm not. I don't think that's criticism of them as players. I think they clearly did a particular job of holding it down. But it, as I said right in the beginning, I did mention that in a sense and I did notice it, and I went back and kind of listened, again. I thought the drummer is doing like hardly any fills at all. It is just literally, 4/4, literally just keeping the beat, which I thought was interesting, because normally the drummer would be playing a lot more stuff, and then you think, God, I wonder if that was like, and it's quite. They are the ones I think I went to them all, but quite a lot. Mick Fleetwood does that as well. Just lays down the beat, and there's not really not any flash at all. Even the sort of the drum fills are very restrained and very kind of pulled back. So I just wanted to make mention of them because just because we didn't mention them doesn't mean they did a bad job.
Yeah,
they did a great job.
I mentioned a couple of times that they that the bass and drums were like locked in and just holding it down.
Yeah.
Andy Pyle was on bass and Graham Walker on drums. So well done, guys. You did an amazing job too. That's a credit to be that understated and let the music do the talking, so to speak, without trying to be flashy. To be honest with you, I reckon Gary Moore might have had a bit to do with that though as well. I don't think he would allow anything on this particular record to be any more than it needed to be.
No. But as I said, I wanted to say about them that just because we haven't really made, quite often we're saying, oh look, there's a fantastic bass bit there, or the bass player does this, and we've not really said anything about that. You've mentioned them a couple of times, but I just wanted to say, that restraint and that being able to play in that way, so it showcases what the album is about, which is Gary Moore and paying tribute to Peter Green, I think is really cool. So I just wanted to go, well done, guys, good job. Absolutely, yeah. So thanks, Brad. It's been really good to get into this and different things. So if you like your blues, kids, this is the place to be.
For all you up and coming blues guitar players and experienced blues guitar players, you need to get involved in this record and have a good listen. Like Drifting, for example, if you want to hear some signature blues licks and phrasing and timing, go straight to that. You can't go wrong. We've got a visitor.
Oh, look out! We've got two.
Hold on, I'm trying to get something for you guys while you guys are talking. I am listening.
I was worried when I see that camera angle.
Yeah.
Wow. Gee.
Oh.
You're frightened. But
I will say that the other thing that struck me was that in general was that you didn't overuse the out of phase position. It just wasn't used all the time. It was used, 2 or 3 tracks sparingly and just about right to give that extra feel. I think that was really cool as well. They didn't overplay it.
He still used it subtly in a few tracks.
Oh yeah. So you know what I mean? He didn't do it on every song because that's the Peter Green sound kind of thing.
I think he did, like, even in songs like "If You Be My Baby," for example, the first track, there is like he's using it there, but it's
yeah.
like
Subtle.
it's not, it's subtly, as opposed to some of the more standout ones where he's using the nasal tone 100%. So, and that may be the thing where the volume is matched, like whether it's at 6.6 or 10.10, like, and I think that's what we'll talk about with Andrew before. So, but I could hear some more nasally
Some
tones
of that.
than we mentioned even. But yeah, I don't know. Look, that to me, but honestly, I have to highly recommend going and watching that YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. Sorry, the Blues for Greeny live. So I highly recommend everyone jump on there and check it out. So, are you there, Andrew? You're doing the spinning wheel of doom.
Spinning wheel.
Yeah, I'm trying to upload something, but unfortunately, my internet connection won't do it. So I just have to show you guys some photos that I just want to share with you. I won't swear because it's
family show.
Family friend. Yeah. Just pisses me off though when we don't get the technology or the internet speed. So we're talking about guitar prices before, and I always find it a little bit interesting when local guitars and guitars, that have been sold locally are for sale, because I think it's a good indication of where things might be going, especially if you're looking for buying guitars. Brad, for example, about a month ago, invested in a Ernie Ball Music Man, because the prices are only going to go north. So I'll just show you guys this. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to just do it from the phone because it won't let me bloody upload. But I'm going to show you guys something. Is this even going to work? Hold on. Unfucking believable. Here we go.
That's twice. Time out for Mr. Fulton.
Okay.
Don't panic. If you want somebody to feel, I've got the perfect joke.
So that's a guitar, obviously. Okay. All right. So hold on. And so it's a Greco guitar. Yep. It's a copy of a 59 Les Paul made in Japan. It's what they call a
What's the plate at the bottom of the tuner, Andrew? Is it just like number, like a plate with a number on it?
Yeah, it's just a sticker. So it's a Greco EGF 1200, what they call a super real guitar. And
super real.
It's sold here in New Zealand. You're not going to believe this. On Trade Me for
$4,000.
Yeah, and a brand new Les Paul is $4,500. So these cheap Chinese guitars that which apparently are great guitars made in the 70s and 80s. If you guys are looking out for them, go and buy them now before they just get more and more ridiculous. I just can't believe that someone paid $4,000. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Sure that's not an error, Andrew?
No, because the guy that bought it, I posted that on the Greco Facebook group saying, holy cow, am I missing something? And the guy that bought it posted pictures of it the day after, and with the comment, I've got to be careful because he could be a New Zealand cat watching this, but with the comment, it's worth every cent. Well, if you've just forked out $4,000, you're going to say that, aren't you?
Yeah. Jeez. So that's a lot of money for a guitar, in my opinion. Was a Japanese Greco, was it?
No, it's not a Matsumoto, Mark. So this one here that I've got, some Matsumoto with the belly cut and the slightly wider headstock. This is a 75. Not an 80. So the Grecos, this is the EG 800. So the 800 was the 800 yen, 1200 is 1200 yen, and the EG 600 is 45. That was the yen price. So the higher the number, the more money you paid for it. So, mate, this guitar might be $3,000, might be full. Boy, I may have done something good for a change. I might be sitting on a fortune.
Sell it and buy it and put extra money to it and buy a Les Paul then, like a Gibson.
I've already got one.
Yeah, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I told them I already got one.
Buy another one. But
Buy another one.
Yeah. So sorry to go down a different route. I know it's your show, Brad. I'm sorry, but just
no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We're guitar nuts here, so I'm just thinking, holy cow, everything is going north, isn't it? Everything.
Oh yeah, the price of things is getting a bit ridiculous, though, in my opinion, because you got to put things into perspective a little bit. If you're a collector, I guess it's understandable, but when you're utilizing these things at gigs, like that's a big investment to swing around on stage.
Yeah. So, well, that's right. Even so, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And KMX Rock, it's not a Gibson. It's made in Japan. What they call a lawsuit. But you're right. Even if you bought that, because you're going to leave your Gibson at home to play at a gig, so you're not even going to take that. You're going to take this miserable $2 million guitar that I've got.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, someone like Kurt Hammett can afford to throw $2 million to the wind. But that's a nice. What's that? EVH, is it?
It's a PV HP2 electric guitar. I just put it up because I noticed this on my reverb feed. There we are.
They're going north too.
I know. I was going to say, how much do you think this is? PV HP2. It's got.
It's gone.
Don't go off your scurvy landlubber.
Well, that's the top of the range model, so I'm going to say about $4,000.
Yeah, well, no, it's 2,600 and 2,700 pounds.
That's $4,000 New Zealand.
Which is yeah.
Well,
like you say,
I mean, look, to me, I mean, I've had my guitars a long time now. The new guitar I've bought recently is the Music Man, but I bought them as tools to play. I've got a couple of collectibles that are in storage and they don't come out, but the rest of my guitars are players. But if I was going to buy, this is just me, and it's just elaborating on what you've sort of shown there, Andrew. If that's $4,000 for the Greco Jap model, unless you're a avid Greco collector, I'd rather spend nearly $5,000 on a Gibson Les Paul than $4,000 on a Greco.
Well, that was my point, because I was following that, and I thought maybe if I got it for $1,000 or $1,500, okay, it's a nice, it's got the dry Z pickups, which for Greco fans are like highly sought after PAFs, but you're right. I'd chuck another $500 and go and buy a brand new Gibson, which is always going to be around that price when you went to sell it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And they will hold their value too. But the point of it is, for me, if you're buying a Greco Les Paul copy, I'd want to buy it reasonably cheap so I can use the damn thing on live.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then buy it expensive when I can buy an expensive Gibson Les Paul and use it live instead. Then Yeah,
well, this is why I bought this, so that I could throw this in the back of my van and go places and take this to the beach. This is why. I'm not going to do that with my Les Paul. This is the reason why I've got this, because it's, for that. Yeah. If it got a scratch or a ding or a knock, I'm not going to cry,
That's the whole point of a knockoff guitar, in my opinion. That's just me.
Yeah. That Andrew, just so you know, that PV I just showed, yours for 5,279 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah. Well, they're handmade, you know, and
Yeah.
But that's a lot, Simon. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? You know, I agree with you, Brad. I think that I think the more. Here we are. Here's my theory. For me, the more expensive the guitar I bought, I think the more tempted I'd be by buying a relic guitar. Because if you spent $4 grand on a pristine guitar, the first time you dented it, it'd be like, ugh. Whereas if you bought a $3.5 grand Friedman, whatever with already with the paint scraped off and stuff like that, then you wouldn't notice, would you? I think that would be my view, is that maybe that would be the way to go. The more expensive they are, the more you want them relict rather than not relict.
Yeah. And I've done that cry too a couple of times. My Gibson's got a couple of little dings on there, and I noticed there's a little ding, and I'm like, how did that get there?
I've been playing my main Les Paul since 1999, and I'm actually quite proud of the condition it's in, considering I've done every gig with it. It's remarkable I've kept it in such good condition. But it has got nicks. It's played. You can tell it's been through the wars. It's seen a lot of gigs. It needs a refret. I've got my white Fender Strat that's in storage at the moment. But the one I used on my recordings and stuff like that, that had a mic stand fall on it here in my studio, and it put two massive dents in it, and I nearly cried because that guitar was faultless until then. So I do agree, in a sense, a relic guitar was probably not such a bad thing, because you're not going to cry over a little scratch here and there and whatnot. But my whole thing with relic guitars is I'd rather relic it myself and play the hell out of it to relic it than buy a relic guitar. If that makes sense.
Yes, so, absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, we sort of deviated a bit from old Gaza, but it's a relevant topic that we're talking about too, in relation to the Greeny being so expensive for a guitar with a broken headstock, really.
Hey guys, if we all three of us shout out and say, hey Quentin, we all might be famous, and he might edit this and he might put us on his on his social media, because he loves it when people do shout outs to him. So on the count of three, gentlemen, we're going to go, hello, Quentin. Right. On the count. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Quentin. Right, now we're going to be famous at the 217 mark, Quentin.
Yeah. Remember that, Quentin. Yes, oh dear Lord, we expect to now appear on every single one of your media outlets. I think you sound like Rupert Murdoch, don't I? Oh dear. Wow. That's funny.
Okay, guys. Sorry,
that was terrible. How could you?
Sorry for diverting the conversation, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. And if anyone's looking for guitars, if there's something you're looking for and you've got something to pay towards it, go and get it, because things are only going to get higher and higher and higher. Go and get it now.
Yeah.
Whose pick is it for next week?
It's yours, Dr. Walton.
Okay, so all right, this is my pleasure and
that way.
my extreme pleasure too. And he does have a connection to the British Electric Blues show, because he was made famous because of his interaction with British players. And we mentioned his album at the top of the show. It was an album that came out around the same time of this album. We're going to discuss the blues compilation by Jimi Hendrix next week. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys. So if you're not familiar with it, if you just give me a second, We'll get it up. Where is it, baby? Where are you? It's on all flat platforms, isn't it? Blues.
It's all good record shops.
I've got it on 2 separate releases on CD because I bought it and then the Hendrix family re-released it again and I didn't hear any difference. Sorry, I shouldn't say that online. Edit that out, Andrew.
We'll chop it out. It's fine.
Yeah. So, clearly he has a British connection, so that's fine. We've discussed this before, so I look forward to going through that with you. Hopefully, we might have some tech and tone tips because we haven't had the tech and tone tip for a while. So, he's still putting his wage bill in, that guy. I'm still getting a weekly account from him.
Still getting.
I'll be sending you another invoice this week, mate.
And I expect the Rock Professor to have something to talk about for 30 seconds next week too.
Okay. Yes. Well. Yes. It'll be. Yeah. I mean, I have got some things for 1995, but then, to be honest, not very exciting. To be honest. I don't quite have the same
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what you can dig out in 95 in relation to our topic, because the 60s and early 70s are pretty easy.
95. Jerry Garcia died in 1995. You see, but then we get into things like Oingo Boingo announced they will break up following a series of Halloween shows in LA.
Save them up. Save them for the show.
Oh dear.
I look forward.
These are for this show.
Awesome, Andrew. I've been looking forward to because I know you mentioned that a while ago, and I was like, can't wait for that one because I absolutely love that album, and great compilation of his blues throughout, and takes that we'd never heard before and things like that at the time, which is great. So, fantastic, great choice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. I just think it's remarkable. It's Again, when that album came out with this album, it was just and From Your Cradle was just when you're a young guy, back all those years ago. Great album.
Fantastic.
You want to do a quick shout out to everybody, Simon?
Yeah,
and,
let's say goodbye to me. So. So thanks to Moshe, I hope I got that right, the Dogper, Sonia, Great Vanzini, Teresa Maria de Souza. Thank you very much, Teresa. Hope you're good. The Dogper, Quentin James, Mark Tanner, KXM Rock. What else? Mark Tanner. Got to go back, make sure I don't miss anybody. Definitely. Maria Valenzuela. Thank Maria. I don't recognise your name, so thanks for dropping by. So
that's Nelson.
Is it by another name? Is it Mr. Rodriguez? Yeah, Nelson. Derek as well. Derek Clapton as well. My fellow Brit. Is he a Brit? Yes, he is. And the Johnny Bean gang who dropped by as well. Thanks to all you guys, Neanderthal and the Great Vanzini, Texas Jackdaw. Thanks, Texas. Drops Family Garden. Robot Master Switch, of course. The winner of our competition. Johnny Bean. Johnny Bean.
Bada bing.
Wayno. Here we are. Wayno, Miles Taylor. Neanderthal, Jeff T. Johnny Heartbreaker as well. Hi, Johnny. And DVD FR and ZWBR. Jeff Davidson. And Renus Pinkle as well. So, Majestic PB and J Cat. Rico B. Fruitcake Tony. Of course, Fruitcake Tony. Check out his Picks show, which is really cool. Sonia. I think that's probably all. Everybody? Yeah. Okay, guys. So thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week for some Jimi Hendrix, which will be fantastic.
Jack Ching Bada Bing.
Yeah.
Very good. And make sure you guys have a supply of chocolates in your pantry, because you never know when. You never know when.
Wonder where he was going with that.
Back down the dirt track.
You never know when a chocolate's going to get you in and out of trouble.
Let's get out of here quick before he gets us into trouble. Bye, guys. Take care, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe for another week.
Pleasure.
Yeah. See you same time, same back channel.